Happy New Year. As they say, out with the old, in with the new. However, you build new things off the back of the old, so let's look at What If for a moment and discuss what the problem people had with the show overall. Okay, so there are two major camps. The first camp is a rather straightforward interpretation of what the name What If means. You take it literally. How does changing one moment, one choice by a character, or maybe just 1 second, and how does this affect everything else? How does this domino all the way down? It's sort of like how alternate history fans go about it in our world, whether it's like, okay, whether the winner of World War II was different, or whether the Roman Empire ever fell. And to the show's credit, it does do that. Then there's the camp I fall into, the go nuts exploring the multiverse option, continuity and consistency be damned, hey, it branches off into infinity for a reason. Again, to this show's credit, it does do that. The problem comes from how this show doesn't want to make up its mind whether it wants to be a serialized story with an overarching narrative or a series of standalone episodes only connected by the watcher. With how this series is structured, it leads to multiple problems. Those who are on the strong serialization end are really disappointed when we get random scenarios like Howard the Duck and Darcy Lewis having a child as opposed to giving development and moments to characters like Storm, mutant goddess of thunder. Seriously, she got no focus episode in season 3 and is just there. Or why not give a follow up to Kaori from the season 2 episodes where the Tesseract fell to North America instead? But for those who want really serialized storytelling, you need to have stakes, and when dealing with the vastness of the multiverse that is What If as a concept, the stakes get pretty high. However, these high stakes are never managed properly, mainly because of the pacing issues that come with it. You're really only cramming in the serialization towards the season finale. Not to mention, the multiversal stakes also do hurt the power diversity in general. So, these are the four main characters for our season finale, and overall series finale. We have a cosmic empowered bird lady. We have mutant weather goddess of thunder who effectively just shoots lightning. We have a super soldier. And we have Tesseract empowered Captain Marvel type. Which I feel like this ends up taking away from the more interesting street level heroism and how they could factor into all these multiversal stakes, while also acknowledging at the same time having the street level characters and more grounded characters fight in the multiversal busting endings of these seasons causes so many issues where they're just standing around doing nothing. And honestly, the giant multiverse busting threats do detract from the wackier ideas because you need to save your budget for those rather than, well, anything too crazy. Save the budget for Infinity Ultron, or Strange Supreme, who has his fair share of story and character problems. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but it doesn't mean you have to relegate it to off-screen land, or have it crammed in towards the end of Season 2. And of course the trio of Watchers known as the Eminence, the Executioner, and the Incarnate. So, this is basically how it feels. This should have been 2 series. One really should have been The Exiles, which is actually name-dropped in Season 3's finale, but it's annoying because it's a teaser and not an actual Exile show. Basically, a bunch of characters from across the multiverse are just dumped together, they have varying histories, and they might not be the same people that everyone knew, or maybe incarnations of dead people that people once knew, and that could have been interesting as a drama, and their whole goal is to get back home, and of course solve multiversal threats, nip threats in the bud, etc. And we could have had the more traditional what if, very self-contained. You could have had follow-ups. In fact, the What If comics did actually have spin-off sequels because one of them got so popular. What if Spider-Girl was a thing? Yes, What If Volume 2, number 105 was so popular, it led to a branding called MC2. And this AU is basically an official licensed next-generation fic, which is something they could reasonably have done. So, after 3 seasons, the MCU's adaptation of What If has come to a close. So, what would I do if I was in charge of reviving it? Well, I would use Star Wars Visions as a model. Go crazy with how creative you can get. Then, in the next season, depending on how popular it gets, you can do a follow up to these concepts. It's so sad that a concept that could be very creative, very spontaneous, very exciting, very wacky, ends up with just middling. Those are my thoughts on the whole what if situation. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.